Whoa. Dad, I think moles live in there.
After spending one afternoon with Nicholas Nelson,
There's a gopher hole in there.
there's no question.
Where is it?
He's a high-energy,
Yeah, he's got some grasshoppers here.
critter-chasing,
Oh.
big sister bothering,
You want me to put them on you? Here.
typical
Oh.
9-year-old boy.
No, I just fell.
Yet, in many ways, Nick is wise beyond his years.
He definitely sees the world, not through the eyes of a 9-year-old, more like a 45-year-old.
I can walk still, but it's kind of harder because I can't stand that long.
What forced Nick to grow up so quickly is the syndrome that keeps him from walking like most other kids.
Whoa.
A syndrome his family didn't know about until his birth.
Once they got him into the nursery and started giving him his bath, they realized that he couldn't straighten his legs. And when they started looking at it, they realized he was completely webbed behind the back of his legs.
What was really frustrating is, although we knew there were some issues, there was nobody that was really able to tell us what it was.
Nick's father and doctor poured through medical books for hours before finally finding the diagnosis, Popliteal Pterygium syndrome.
So basically, it's this pterygium here.
The most common trait is a web on the back of the leg, something you can't just snip off because it's packed with nerves.
If we were to cut it out, it would cause paralysis.
On top of that, the back of Nick's right knee joint is basically gone. Over the years, doctors performed about 15 surgeries and used every tool possible to try and straighten his legs.
And get your pelvis really flat against the floor. There you go.
The left leg is doing better.
There you go.
The right leg is not. As a result, Nick cannot stand up straight and quickly fatigues during physical therapy. He finds it much easier to work out in a pool. Outside of the water, Nick typically uses a wheelchair to get around, but kids at Rosemount Elementary seem to notice his personality far more than his anomaly.
And you tell me how many times you've gone around.
The differences become a bit clearer during the school's mile-long fun run.
Let's smoke them.
While the rest of the kids use their legs, Nick powers his way around the track with an equally exhausting hand trike.
He's very excited about doing this.
For a lap, Nick made plenty of smoke until the chain broke.
This sucks.
A tough break, but Nick would not give up.
Want me to grab your chair so you can finish in your chair?
No,
With help from his grandma, Nick crosses the finish line, broken chain and all.
I didn't really think it was a fun run.
Moments like this make him wish his legs worked just like everyone else's.
Because I would like to run like my other friends. I'd like to jump off the monkey bars. I want to be as tall as my friends.
Such simple desires push Nick to make a choice.
I'm going to kind of miss my leg.
He wants doctors to amputate his right leg.
I just always wanted it to happen. My dream's going to come true.
Most 9-year-olds dream of Disney World. Nick's dream is something even adults can't imagine.
It's really hard because as a mom, I'm the one sitting there tickling his toes that aren't going to be there anymore.
Sometimes you just have to make hard choices in your life. And that's one of them.
Without amputation, the pain in his legs, hips, and back would get worse, and Nick would eventually be in a wheelchair for good. Now Nick's therapy focuses on getting ready for life without a leg and with a prosthetic.
5. Man, too many root beers or what?
It's going to be a totally different dynamic after it's gone.
Okay, stand up. No hands.
No hands, no hands.
It's important to work on Nick's balance,
No hands. And we're brutal about it.
which is why they're forcing him to stand up without using his hands. As the amputation creeps closer, Nick is unafraid, amazing to his fellow third graders.
He seems really brave to me.
But the night before surgery, the reality of what's about to happen sinks in.
It's okay.
Who could blame a 9-year-old for having second thoughts?
So we have to do the surgery. Is it too late, though? Mom, is it too late?
Nick's parents calmly explain putting it off won't make it go away.
You're going to be anxious, and you're going to be nervous, and you're going to be scared, and you're going to wonder if that's the right time, too.
As night falls, Nick's doubts fade away. sunrise will bring a new beginning. The Nelsons arrive at Gillette Children's at 6:30 in the morning.
And that means we're going to make an incision right along here.
Dr. Mark Dahl goes over the process one last time.
You know, everybody's tried as hard as we can to make this knee joint work, but the knee is too stiff and isn't working for you. So we'll get you a prosthesis, okay?
Nick, already groggy from the anesthesia, seems fine. It's his parents who are getting emotional.
You know, it's a hard decision, but it's the right decision. And I just got to keep reminding myself of that.
Oh, Rudy.
The family says one last goodbye as Nick is taken to the operating room.
It's my baby. It's my baby, and it's my baby's leg. But I know that this is the right thing to do, the best thing for him, and this is going to give him an absolute new lease on life.
Dr. Dahl will amputate the leg at the knee. It's a fairly standard procedure that will only take about 3 hours.
I don't know.
But feels longer to those waiting.
Yeah, it's just hard.
Yeah.
Before long, though, Nick emerges.
How's it going? How do you feel right now?
It's hard to believe in just a matter of hours, his leg is gone.
I look at him and think, who are you? Where did you come from with this kind of courage and strength?
I am an ant.
After a life filled with so many adult decisions,
Need to itch your toes?
perhaps now, Nick Nelson can just be a 9-year-old boy.
Now it's time to focus on the exciting new part of his life and moving on and letting him get on with his life.
Sometimes you just have to make hard choices in your life.
He's the 9-year-old boy who was forced to make a very adult decision, and tonight, how Nick Nelson's courage is changing his life. We first introduced you to Nick back in November, just as he was making that decision to have his leg amputated.
Nick was born with a condition that kept him from walking normally, but now, only a few months after that very tough choice, Nick is living his dreams. KARE 11's Joe Fryer catches up with the little boy whose big spirit captured the hearts of Minnesotans.
It's a good morning at Rosemont Elementary.
For Nick Nelson,
This is a great morning. Our friend Nick is coming back.
heading back to school was never really a choice.
Welcome back, Nick.
He had to do that.
Put your names on those first, guys.
But the thing that kept him away for 3 weeks,
Here's my leg.
that was a choice.
It looks kind of funny because I tied a knot.
You see, Nick was born with something called Popliteal Pterygium syndrome.
Basically, it's this pterygium here.
The most common trait is a web on the back of each leg.
I just remember when Nicholas was born, and honestly, they said there's a good chance that he may never walk.
But Nick found a way.
I can walk still, but it's kind of harder.
Still, he could never straighten his legs, especially the right one. And despite numerous surgeries, was in constant pain and usually needed a wheelchair to get around. So last year, Nick wanted a change.
It was the day that we went to see Dr. Dahl, and he sat down knee to knee with Nicholas and took him by the hands and said, these are your options. This is what I can do. This is what I can do. And this is what I can do. And Nicholas said, I want you to take my leg.
For Nick, the reasons were simple.
I would like to run like my other friends. I want to be as tall as my friends.
So on October 10th at Gillette Children's, doctors amputated Nick's leg.
How's it going? How do you feel right now?
For Nick and his family, it's the start of a whole new life.
How do you feel?
Just 19 days after the surgery, Nick is back at school.
He's my friend.
His leg gone, but sense of humor clearly still intact.
I'd kick you in the shin right now, but I only have one leg, so I can't really do it.
Nick's learning how to get around with one leg, but it's not easy.
I miss walking, and I can't walk anymore.
What he wants is a prosthetic.
Merry Christmas.
Finally, just before Christmas, Nick gets his gift. Like a NASCAR race car, the leg is filled with decals.
That looks great.
Including this one featuring Dwight from the TV show The Office.
Because it's my kind of sense of humor, and I'm determined about this.
With help from the parallel bars, Nick quickly adjusts to his new leg.
Awesome.
And before long,
No hands?
surprises himself.
Whoa! Mom!
Oh my gosh. No hands.
In one day.
Some thought Nick would never walk.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I just started a new life.
Mom has now seen him take his first steps twice.
To watch your baby take his first steps more than once is just an unbelievable experience.
When Nick returns to school, he needs support from his crutches, but is finally as tall as his friends,
That is so cool.
with just the occasional stumble.
That happens. It happens.
At recess, though, nothing can slow him down.
I'm climbing to the top of this den.
Using his new leg, Nick scales the giant playground net.
He's going to the top. He's crazy.
Do you need help? No, I don't.
Determined to do it alone,
He's going to do it, right? He can do it. I think he can do it.
Nick finally reaches the summit.
I see the whole Apple Valley.
Can you think of a better symbol for all that Nick has accomplished?
And it just even reinforces, you know, the fact that we did make the right decision and that Nick made the right decision.
For Nick, it's just the beginning.
Good luck, Nick.
Shortly after the surgery, he's playing sled hockey.
Good job, Nick.
It's the first time Nick has ever been able to take part in team sports. His dream is to go to the Olympics someday.
Well, you guys want to go inside?
He just never dreamed it would happen this soon. Inspired by Nick's story, the U.S. Paralympic team invites the Nelsons to their training grounds in Colorado.
What's up, man?
Here, Nick meets members of the Paralympic swim team.
This is beyond cool.
One of the swimmers is Nick's hero, Rudy Garcia Tolson.
I used to have knees like those.
Rudy also had Popliteal Pterygium syndrome and decided to have both of his legs amputated when he was 5. Today, at age 19, he's one of the best Paralympic swimmers in the world.
I never imagined that someday I would sit here and have lunch with all these athletes.
This is special to Nick because they can understand what he is going through.
Sweet.
Yeah, probably the best day of my life.
Of course, the next day is pretty good too.
USA, man. We're proud, all right?
All right.
Yeah, man. That's sweet.
Nick meets Alexi Salamone, who was born with deformed legs following the nuclear disaster in Chernobyl. His legs were amputated at age 4, and today,
Leading goal scorer for Team USA.
he's one of the best sled hockey players in the world. And Nick gets to share the ice with him.
It's so funny because everybody focuses so much on disability, and it's just absolutely so much about ability.
And ability is what this trip is all about.
It makes me think that my life is going to be better and it's not going to stink.
It was Nick who said sometimes you have to make hard choices in life.
Very hard choices. Very hard. But if you're brave enough, you can, and you have enough power to do it, then your life will become a whole lot better.
Nick's choice is proof of that.
No regrets. I'm having a very, very good life now.
Now, Nick might still have to make another tough choice about his left leg. His doctor wants to see what can be done to straighten that leg more. Nick and his family are fully prepared to amputate that leg too, but we're just going to have to wait and see if that's even necessary.
Take a deep breath.
The third floor of Gustavus Adolphus's Science Hall is getting a lot of attention, but to call it a viewing seems like a gross understatement.
Oh my god, it smells really bad.
As these students from St. Peter High School now realize, it is not enough to see the corpse flower.
It's not a thing of beauty.
You have to smell it to appreciate its name.
There's something wrong with my nose. She can smell it. What does it smell like?
A dead body.
How does she know how a dead body smells like?
I don't know, but it smells nasty.
After blooming over the weekend, the flower is attracting thousands.
One of the true marvels of the botanical world.
Dr. Brian O'Brien got the seeds for the rare Indonesian plant 14 years ago.
This is the world's largest unbranched flower.
It bloomed for the first time Saturday night and is already closing.
My analogy is fireworks. You think about fireworks. They're short, they're magnificent, they're beautiful, but you got to be there at the right time.
And when that time comes,
smells wonderful.
the rotting meat scent it releases is something only an insect could love.
So all the pollinators are going, yum, yum, corpse flower.
Everyone else
It's really smelly.
reacts like Daphne Ticci.
It's even smellier than diapers.
She would know diapers. She's got a 2-month-old sister.
We didn't think it was too bad, but I'm used to her smell, so.
What they don't realize is that today is nothing.
Yesterday, I swear I was going to throw up as soon as the door opened, because that's how bad it smelled.
It seems no one wants to smell a corpse, yet at Gustavus Adolphus, everyone wants to smell a corpse flower.
Yucky, yucky, yucky.
Joe Fryer, KARE 11 News, St. Peter.